Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Yeah! And we begin with an epic Hindemith opera, because we're doing Hindemith backwards through the alphabet. I know we got so much Hindemith. It's going to take us years. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to love every minute of it. First, the opera Mathis der Maler. Its only totally complete recording. I don't think there's another one. Maybe some live stuff or something now, but this, when it came out, was a big deal. It features Raphael Kubelik with Bavarian Radio, Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau, James King, Ursula Kossuth, Rose Wagman, William Cochran, and Peter Mavin. It's not the best recording sonically. It never was. But it is a beautiful, beautiful performance of a masterwork. Many people will know the symphony, which was drawn from this opera. The symphony contains the overture as the first movement, the interlude, which is the entombment of Christ, and then the last movement is a conflation of the dream sequence where Matthias Grunwald, the painter of the Isenheim altarpiece, is tormented by demonic spirits. And each movement is a panel from the Isenheim altarpiece, but in the opera, Matthias goes through a lot of the same stuff. It's a very, very important work in Hindemith's output, very important work in the history of 20th century opera, a very, very beautiful work and serious. It uses German folk song. It's extremely listenable. It was designed deliberately by Hindemith as an offering to the German people, as to effect a new relationship between the composer and his audience, to write music which was approachable and meaningful, but not stupid, not writing down. It's still very serious stuff, written at an extraordinarily high level of technique and finish, and with Hindemith's own personal harmonic style. So it's really an amazing work. And the story of Mathis der Maler was really, really, really a powerful and sad one. The opera was never performed in Germany. The reason is because this was my master's thesis. This was my topic. Der Fall Hindemith, the Hindemith case, which was, the title of an article written by Furtwängler after the premiere of the Mathis der Maler symphony, which was enormously successful. Hindemith had deliberately positioned the work as a challenge to the Nazi regime. His desire was that, music should not be political, and the government should stay out of the arts and let artists create and be themselves. And he felt that, it was a responsibility to be an artist, and he was accepting that responsibility in writing this work that was supposed to be more popular and lyrical and approachable than anything else he did. The result of that performance was an enormous success for Hindemith, and it scared the crap out of the Nazi government because there were demonstrations in Hindemith's favor, and his music was banned, and then Furtwängler resigned all of his posts as a result. Of course, Furtwängler later wimped out and knuckled under pressure from the regime, as we all know. And Hindemith eventually, this was in 1938, Hindemith was eventually forced to flee Germany. He went to Switzerland with his wife, who was partly Jewish, which was a problem, obviously, and then immigrated to the United States, where he immediately secured a position teaching at Yale, down the street in New Haven. So, I feel very close to this opera and close to the work. It's a wonderful, interesting story about the relationship between the artist and politics and what happens when the two collide. The answer is that the artist usually loses unless he, completely, throws his ideals or aesthetic to the wind and does whatever the government wants him to do, which is, of course, what happened to the Soviet Union in places and lots of other places as well. So that's the opera. And this recording of it is really special. And when it came out originally, oh God, I'll never forget this, on LP, and I was so excited to finally get a chance to listen to it because I was in college. an undergrad. It was in 1981, somewhere around there. What's the date on this sucker? It was recorded in 79, and it was issued in a year later, basically, 1980. So I was in college, and I snagged my recording, and I came home and put it on, and I listened to side 1. It was on 3 discs. And then I turned on side 2, and what did I hear? The Beverly Sills La Traviata. Because this happened in the old days of LPs. Sometimes they got mixed up. It didn't say it was the Sills Traviata. It wasn't an actual disc from the Sills Traviata. It was just a piece of the Sills Traviata on a recording that said that it was side 2 of Mathis der Maler. Well, I was terribly annoyed, and I rushed back to the record store full of indignation, grabbed another one, and it was still the Sills Traviata. So I rushed back to the record store. We opened up all of the recordings that they had. It wasn't like they'd ordered that many. There were like 5 or 6 of them, and they were all the Sills Traviata. So they all got shipped back. And it was about, I don't know, several months later that Angel, it wasn't EMI in those days, it was Angel Records in the U.S., finally corrected the problem. They were totally screwed up and issued a clean set. I could actually finally hear the whole opera. So there it is, Mathis der Maler. Major, major, major stuff that you should try to hear if you can. Then we've got, this is so bizarre. We've got this repertorium for militar music for string quartet, which is also in that last video we just talked about what the string quartet's called. Militaire music, Minimax. The clarinet quintet, first version from 1923. And here is, again, the Flying Dutchman with the Buchberger Quartet, who's become famous for doing the complete Haydn quartets on Brilliant Classics in recent years. But this is on Virgo, Schott's in-house label, Hindemith's publisher, with Peter Klaus Loeffler clarinet. Very, very fine performances. This was how a lot of us first heard that Flying Dutchman overture thing, which is just so bizarre and funny. And look at this. So much fun. Hindemith, Mathis der Maler with Philadelphia Orchestra and Ormandy, the Sony recording. He does a little orchestral retouching. He adds some cymbal rolls at the end of the outer movements and things like that. But what the heck, it's a very good performance. The symphonic metamorphosis of themes by Weber and Walton's variations on a theme by Hindemith with Zell in Cleveland. One of the great recordings of contemporary music ever. Period. Astounding. It's a great, great record. That's on Essential Classics. Now it's all been detached and stuck in big, huge boxes devoted to Ormandy and Zell. And that is, look, I liked it so much that I have 2 of them. There we go. Isn't that nice? You should always have dozens of things that you enjoy. Abato with the Berlin Phil. Yeah, I remember this. Mathis der Maler, Nobilissima Visione, and the Symphonic Metamorphoses. Not great. You'd think Berlin Phil, which premiered Mathis der Maler, of course, it recorded it right at the same time. And Nobilissima Visione is a gorgeous ballet based on the life of St. Francis of Assisi from 1938. Abato, he did the Symphonic Metamorphosis a couple times. I think there's a recording on Decca too, isn't there? If I recall rightly. Well, the point is that it's okay. That's not more than that. It's decent, but okay. The Berlin Phil has not really done well by Hindemith. There's a couple exceptions we'll talk about when we get to them. Because, I don't know. Hindemith is not the kind of composer who responded to, orchestras that had like voluptuous strings and things like that. He just wasn't into that sensuality business. And that's what Berlin had going for it. Now, Abato stripped a lot of that out of it when he got to Berlin, but it was still there. And he didn't replace it with anything. That was really the problem, I think. So, and Karajan, by the way, hated Hindemith, despised Hindemith, because Hindemith was absolutely antithetical to the Karajan treatment, that huge string sheen sort of thing. And also Hindemith was promoted by Furtwängler, and Karajan and Furtwängler hated each other. So when Karajan got the Berlin Phil, the first thing he did was record Mathis der Maler, because, of course, it was a Furtwängler specialty. But he didn't do it with any enthusiasm, and the recording, frankly, sucks. It really does. So there you go. Next, Hindemith Symphonic Metamorphosis, Schoenberg 5 Pieces, Bartok Miraculous Mandarin Suite, Kodaly Peacock Variations, Antal Dorati, Raphael Kublik, the Chicago Symphony, the famous monos, the Mercury Living Presence monos. And this is a wonderful symphonic metamorphosis. Absolutely first rate and brilliantly recorded, even though it is mono. So yeah, this is a classic. And I was, put it under H because I was in my Hindemith phase still when I got it. So what the heck? Would always be able to find it. And last but not least for this one, oh yes. Oh my, this is so much fun too. It's just, Hindemith is the gift that keeps on giving. We've got his demented expressionist 25-minute long opera Sancta Susanna, of which I have multiple recordings now. It's been recorded a few times, but this was the first one on Vergo, featuring Helen Donat and Gabriela Schnaut. A good cast. Gabriela Schreckenbach and others, with Gerd Albrecht and the Radio Symphony Orchestra Berlin. And then we've also got his Drei Gesänge for soprano and orchestra, which is insane. Janice Martin is the soprano. You remember she's the Senta in the Schulte Flying Dutchman, if I'm not mistaken. And she had a voice until she sang this. These three songs are, like Richard Strauss on steroids. They are crazy difficult. And the orchestra is enormous. I have the score over in the other room. It's like huge, ridiculous sized orchestra, 8 horns and like craziness. The last movement, Aufbruch der Jugend, is, it's just a voice wrecker of a scream fest. It is so much fun. These are wonderful, wonderful songs. But this was from Hindemith's expressionistic period. The opera got him in huge trouble. It caused a huge scandal. Why? Because Susanna is a nun, and she wants to unite with Christ, not spiritually, but physically. And she rips off her clothes and goes up to the statue of the crucified Christ and starts sort of humping it. And all the other nuns show up and scream, "Satan, Satan!" And they brick her up like the cask of Amontillado, and they wall her up as a spawn of Satan in the alcove, wherever she is. It's just gross. And incredibly blasphemous and so much fun. Oh my goodness, it's fun. The music is very tonal and very lush. It's part of that 1920s, or Schrecker and Zemlinsky and all those people, the decadent late German romantic Braunfels. And gosh, it's more fun than we have any right to have. So yeah, on Vergo, that's totally great. But we've talked about Sancta Susanna before in reviewing the new recording on Chandos, one of which I have sitting down there as well, I think. So we'll be getting to it. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.